into 3 divisions: limited preparation, oral interpretation, and platform speaking. In oral interp events, the performer gives his or her interpretation of a piece of literature, usually fiction. Oral interp events include prose, poetry, dramatic interp, duo, reader's theater, and declamation. The thing that makes interp events different is that the words you speak are not your own. In interp events, you are pulling from people's stories, songs, and poetry. You are taking these stories and weaving them together to paint a picture composed of the lives around you. That program is made to convey a point or an issue through the art of storytelling. To show you how this works, Noah and Rebecca will each share a short cutting of their prose interpretation. Noah will remind us of what it was like for his grandmother when she was a little girl. And Rebecca will retell a story from Sandra Sinleno, The House on Mango Street.
The year is 1965. Take that in for a minute. 1965. My best friend is Lena, and she has beautiful green eyes and sandy blonde hair. And then there's me. At that time, I don't think I had a whole lot of teeth. I was 8 years old, and my hair was every direction. We were awkward. We were 8, but we were best friends. When my grandmother was a little girl, seeing black and white children playing together was nowhere near as common as it is today. The desegregation of schools was very young, and barriers were still being torn down. These two stories are separated by 50 years, and many generations have changed in both attitude and acceptance. Big Walk Little Feet by Kathy Kinnear Hill. Because when my grandmother was growing up in the 1960s, the world was a totally different place. Or was it? Lena invited me swimming. It was July, the middle of the summer, hot in Portland, and I was so excited. I'd been swimming a lot, but I hadn't gone to her pool. So I packed a little beach bag like it was a huge outing. It was 13 blocks away. And I had, my towel with the daisies on it. It was the 60s. And $1.50. $1 to get in the pool, and 50 cents so I could get 2 dreamsicles. This was heaven. And it was a day where you could go and walk 13 blocks. Moms weren't watching. They just said, bye, have fun. So we get to the pool, and it's called Eagles. It's called Eagles, Eagles Club. I didn't know anything about that. And we're in line, and there's a lot of kids with the same idea as us on this hot day, and we're just, shooting the breeze, looking at our little dollars in our hands. That was a whole lot of money. And we get up to the desk before we get to the pool, and Lena was so proud to say, we're members here, and I brought my friend. And the guy, he must have been 15. He was blonde, with buzz cut, and mean, icy blue eyes. And he looked at Lena, and he said, you can go in, but she can't. Wow. What? No. Did we hear that right? Well, no. This is my best friend. This is my very best friend. And I can bring a friend because I do that. I always do that. And she is $1. And I held up my $1. And I was proud to. But he didn't take my $1. She said, no, this is my very best friend. This is Kathy. She's my very best friend. And we're going to swim. And he looked at her. And he said, you can go in, but she can't. So, what does an 8-year-old girl do when she knows what's really going on, but she's never been there before? In my neighborhood, I'd been called that word. There's always that one creep in the neighborhood, but institutionalizing racism? I didn't know what that was. I didn't know it was a policy. I didn't even know the word policy. But I knew in my heart that I wasn't going to swim on that day. So I looked at Lena and I said sincerely, from my heart, you swim. You swim. And just come over later. And she's 8. So she did. She walked away, and I turned around, and all the kids that were behind me, were looking at me, but they weren't looking at me with hate. They were looking at me because they were confused too. For some reason, I was being punished, and I think the crime was the color of my skin. So I walked out, and I walked what might have been the longest walk of my life, and the loneliest, home.
I like to tell stories. I tell them inside my head. I tell them after the mailman says, "Here's your mail." "Oh, here's your mail," he said. I make a story for my life. For each step my brown shoe takes, I say, and so she trudged up the wooden stairs, her sad brown shoes taking her to the house she never liked. I like to tell stories. I'm going to tell you a story about a girl who didn't want to belong. Sally is the girl with eyes like Egypt and nylons the color of smoke. The boys at school think she's beautiful. Her father says to be this beautiful is trouble. "Sally, why do you always have to go straight home after school? You become different. You pull your skirt straight and you rub the blue paint off of your eyelids. You don't laugh. Sally, you look at your feet and you walk fast to the house that you can't come out from. Sally, do you sometimes wish you didn't have to go home? Do you wish that one day your feet would just keep walking and take you far away from Mango Street? And you could laugh. Sally, you could laugh without the whole world just waiting for you to make a mistake when all you wanted, Sally, was to love. And to love and to love, and no one would call that crazy. It never hits me hard. She said her mama rubs lard on all the places where it hurts. But Sally doesn't tell about the time that he hit her with his hands. Like as if I was a dog. As if I was an animal. He thinks I'm gonna run away like his sisters, who made the family ashamed. Sally was going to get permission to stay with us a little, and would have stayed too, except when the dark came, her father, whose eyes were little from crying, came knocking and said, "Please, come back, this is the last time." And she said, "Daddy," and went home. And then we didn't have to worry until one day Sally's father catches her talking to a boy, and the next day she doesn't come to school, and the next. Until the way Sally tells it, he just went crazy. He just forgot he was her father between the buckle and the belt. Sally got married, just like we knew she would. Young and not ready, but married just the same. She says she is in love, but I think she did it to escape. She got married in another state where it's legal to be married before the 8th grade. What I remember most is Mango Street. The sad red house. The house that I belong, but don't belong to. I like to tell stories. Tell them inside my head. I put it down on paper, and then the ghost doesn't ache so much. I write it down, and Mango says goodbye sometimes. She doesn't hold me with both arms, she sets me free. I'm too strong for her to keep me here forever. One day I will go away. Friends and neighbors will ask, "What happened to that Esperanza? Where'd she go with all her books and paper? Why'd she march so far away?" They will not know that I have gone away to come back. The ones I left behind. The ones who cannot out.
A platform or public address speech is a speech that is memorized, original, a 10-minute speech that addresses an issue that is important to us, the speaker. There are 3 main types of platform speeches, which include informative, persuasive, and after-dinner speaking, which is written to entertain. Today, Chi, Mai, and Luis will present to you a short version of their speeches. Chi and Mai will attempt to persuade you that American college students should go to
learn a foreign language, and Louise will attempt to inform you about an innovative new textile.
I started learning English when I was 6, then Japanese when I reached high school, and now Chinese as a minor in college. To be honest, I just love the nature and beauty of foreign languages. Therefore, when I came here, one of the most frequently asked questions that I received from American students is, how does it feel like to be multilingual? And after I told them my stories and how passionate I am about foreign languages, I asked them in return, so how about you? Do you like studying foreign languages? And 8 out of 10 replies that I received is, I wish I knew something other than English. Therefore, I am here today to persuade American students to study foreign languages, since not only a good command of foreign languages grants students success in their life or in their future job, but it's also a good way to get insight about another country's culture. Compared to other countries, America seems to be falling behind in boosting the study of foreign languages, which causes potential problems to the country. Indeed, although English has become a mandatory subject in many countries, since the need of knowing English has grown significantly over the past few years, not everyone in the world speaks English. Specifically, the 3 dragons from the Asian side, Korea, Japan, and China, have very few fluent English speakers. However, what's important is that they are conscious of the importance of foreign languages, while America isn't. Authors Wei and Su came up with a survey in their article, The Statistics of English in China, that among 260 parents of primary and secondary students in Shanghai, a quarter of them know English but hardly use it on a daily basis. Another quarter of them use English to read the news or listen to the radio. So, being the first country, being the country with the biggest population on Earth, 1,300,000,000, the world's largest exporter, the second largest economy just after the United States. How can we know more about China if we do not know the language? And those in China that know English seems to have a better understanding about America. Paul Deliger, an executive of Barbie Mobile Company Limited, located in Beijing, says, this knowledge of English gives a great advantage to the Chinese, since they know much more about the Western world and how it works than Westerners know how China works. The greatest irony is that while the Americans pushed for globalization for so long, the average Americans know much less about China, while the Chinese have the globalization advantage and they are the ones driving the agenda now. So lack of knowledge in foreign languages causes negative consequences for Americans. Firstly, Americans need to depend on translators, so they cannot avoid the subjectiveness or bias of the translators. And the translators in surgery also play an important role, since some translators tend to abuse the knowledge of the language they know in order to convey misleading ideas about some concepts. Additionally, lack of knowledge in foreign languages might lead to awkward situations, since one country's etiquette might be offensive to others. But most importantly, a poor command of foreign languages prevents oneself from knowing more about other countries' culture, since languages witness the growth of each country, and it plays an indispensable role in the people's life. Indeed, as a small country in the world, we do not expect others to know our language. So we would be extremely happy to hear even just a little Vietnamese from foreigners. Just as Nelson Mandela once said, if you speak to a man in the language he understands, it goes to his head. But if you speak to a man in his own language, it goes to his heart.
Fashion designer Miuccia Prada once said, "What you wear is how you present yourself to the world, especially today." When human contacts are so quick, fashion is instant language. Just take a look at Donald Trump and his hairstyle. Traditional clothing, consuming, and manufacturing processes usually include horrific practices, such as the massacre of millions of animals, the throwing away of billions of pounds of clothing, and the wasting of natural resources. However, my manufacturing view pertaining to the development of clothing drastically changed when I recently encountered a TED Talk that was hosted in 2011 by Suzanne Lee. As a strong supporter of alternative and biofabrics, she introduced to me the possibilities that can be found within kombucha. In order to further understand how kombucha is able to revolutionize the fashion industry, we will first take a look at what kombucha really is. Then we will dive into the applications of kombucha, and finally, we will consider the implications of what the Huffington Post on January 22nd, 2014 asked, "Can kombucha couture save the world?" On any given day, over 1/2 of the American population drinks tea. According to the Tea Association of the United States Incorporated in September 2014, Americans consumed over 80 billion servings of tea, or more than 3.60 billion gallons. In order to understand how kombucha plays a role in the clothing industry, we will first take a look at what kombucha really is, and then we will dive into the process of making our very own kombucha fabric. Kombucha tea is a fermented probiotic drink that originated in China and has been consumed for thousands of years. Otherwise known as kombucha mushroom tea, kombucha tea in fact is not a mushroom, but rather a SCOBY, which is an acronym for a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. In addition to this, kombucha tea is known for its variety of health benefits. Viscosclosure stated on September 25, 2015, kombucha can boost the immune system and can be used to fight against AIDS. It is also argued that kombucha can enhance the libido, treat diabetes, and even reverse gray hair. How useful. By understanding the characteristics of kombucha, we are now ready to make our very own kombucha clothing. To begin the process of making our own kombucha fabric, we start by brewing the tea and adding the sugar. Once the sugar dissolves, we then add the kombucha SCOBY, while maintaining a constant temperature for growth. In hot weather, we can actually grow this outside, even though there's no windows here. As the tea ferments, the bacteria starts feeding on sugar nutrients within the liquid, spinning tiny nanofibers of pure cellulose, while maintaining or while giving off a constant layer for growth. Then, the material dries and one is left with something resembling a very flexible, lightweight, transparent paper, similar to flexible vegetable leather. Then, the material evaporates and it then proceeds to automatically seam itself together, which is huge. This means that sewing machines would no longer be necessary in the development of clothing. Moving along from the process of making our own kombucha clothing, let us take a look at the applications that can be found within kombucha in the world in which we live in today. First of all, in the growing process of kombucha-based fabric, there is no waste produced. Kombucha is a static culture. It does not need anything to grow. One simply watches it evolve as the days and weeks go by. It doesn't even need light. According to the Daily Infographic on February 3rd, 2014, it's estimated that the average American throws away over 65 pounds of textiles every year. That's about 1/2 of my body weight. Unlike the manufacturing process of today, that take up enormous amounts of natural resources, with kombucha-based clothing, the kombucha only grows what is necessary. It only grows what he or she needs. There is no waste. Even though there are a lot of enormous benefits that are tied within kombucha-based clothing, however, is not yet water resistant. If I were to walk outside in the rain today, I would immediately start to absorb huge amounts of water. My clothes would then start feeling rather heavy, and eventually, my seams would probably fall apart, leaving me feel rather naked. Possibly a good performance piece for the runway, but definitely not yet ideal for everyday wear. As Suzanne Lee stated in her TED Talk, ultimately, what I want to be able to do is give the materials the qualities that I need. So what I want to do is tell a future bug, spin me a thread, align it in this direction, make it hydrophobic, and while you're at it, just form it around this 3D shape. Not only did we take a look at the beneficial properties of kombucha, but we also analyzed the applications and its characteristics. Kombucha is unique in that not only is it environmentally friendly, but it's also efficient. Kombucha could be the energy-saving, smart, and sustainable resource to increasingly precious natural resources. On the other hand, it's not yet water resistant, and if we were all going to wear it today, we would all be naked. I don't know if that's a good thing. In addition to this, if we were to pit it up against the real market, such as JCPenney's, Kohl's, and Sears, it's not a point where it's economically viable or competitive. It would be destroyed. As Susan Lee stated in her TED Talk, maybe it won't even be fashion where these microbes have their impact. We could, for example, imagine growing a chair, a desk, a car, or maybe even a house. So my question to you is, in the future, what would you choose to grow with these microbes?
Limited prep events are different than the interpretation or platform events you've been hearing about, because you do not know what your speech is going to be out until you get to your event room. Good qualities to have in the events are the ability to speak on your feet and think on your feet as well. There are two types of limited prep events, impromptu and extemporaneous. An impromptu speech is based on a quotation assigned to you once you get to your rounds. The quotations are taken from famous politicians, movies, songs, proverbs, or philosophers. You have 2 minutes to compose a 5-minute speech. You begin by stating a brief introductory statement, your quotation, and then a thesis on whether you agree or disagree. During your speech, you present 2 to 3 topics on which to prove whether you agree or disagree, and then you close by tying your examples back into your thesis and re-quoting your statement. In extemporaneous speaking, you are given a question you must answer rather than a quotation. These speeches are usually more formal and are involved with domestic or international issues, usually politics. In extemp, competitors are given 30 minutes to do their research and compose a 7-minute speech. The main goal of your speech is to answer the question in a persuasive and logical form. Both of the limited prep events are great training for any career in which you must critically analyze information and quickly compose a logical response. It may seem intimidating because you only have a few minutes to compose your speech, but it's very rewarding and can be a lot of fun.
In the spring of each year, our team competes in a competition with over 20 other historically faith-based schools at this National Christian College Forensics Invitational. That tournament includes an additional category, which is the interpretation of faith literature, in which the performance material is about faith-based issues. Here is a sample of Lindsay Ball's Faith Lit entry, Come and See by Jan Bowers.
Live in water. That's what he offered me that day by the well. Live in water. Shoot, I didn't know what he meant by it. All I know is first, here's this Jewish rabbi asking me for a drink, and then turning around and offering me something I ain't ever heard of before. Live in water. The human body is composed of 206 bones and 640 muscles. However, we're more than our atoms and anatomy. We are composed of our experiences and our circumstances. In this dramatic monologue, we will revisit our preconceived notions of the woman in the well in John 4. Come and See by Jan Bowers. He was already sitting there when I approached. I could see right away he wasn't from these parts. He was a Jew. And when I got to looking at it, he was either a teacher or a rabbi. I expected the usual down looking we Jews have been getting from Samaritans for years to come, but I can't remember. Unclean, they call us. Like we was dogs or something. So I looked at that man sitting there and I thought, he's one of them. He's just another one of them thinking he's better than me. Just another one of them thinking, one touch from that Samaritan woman will get me kicked out of the synagogue for weeks. But I didn't know what he was thinking. Instead of shooing me away, he looked at me real polite-like and said, "May I have a drink?" I could see why he'd been asking. His clothes were all sweated up and he was empty-handed. He needed me. Know that feeling when you have the upper hand and you know it? Know that feeling when venom's just been gnawing at your belly and you just lay it out on some innocent victim? You're a Jew and I'm a Samaritan woman. How could you ask me for a drink? But he wasn't riled by my words or my anger. Instead, he told me strange things, things about living water. Water that when you drink of it quenches that thirst you got way deep down inside of you. And he asked me about Jake. Well, he didn't really ask me about Jake. He told me to go get my husband, and I told him real cocky like, I don't have a husband. But then he told me he knew. And then he told me about everything I had ever done. I knew right off he must be some kind of prophet or something. Could he be the one they're always talking about? Could he be the Messiah? My mind got to running with the thought of it, and all of a sudden, my legs been running too, running right to that town with those people who never gave me the time of day. And then my mouth went running. And I said, come see the man that could be the Messiah. He told me everything I had ever done.
and they went running too. Now, I don't know if they went to the well that day to hear about all I'd ever done, because I know some of them have really been pondering on that. Or if they went to the well that day to see the man that could be the Messiah. But either way, they went running too. It started out like any other day. The sun came up ordinary-like, but it didn't stay ordinary. That was the day I went to the well, and I met a man named Jesus. And he told me about living water. Water that, when you drink of it, quenches that thirst you got way deep down inside of you. Please come and see.
Interpretation of poetry is an event in which the performers use a wide range of literature, including classic works and spoken word performance, and combine different poetic pieces together to create a story under a unifying theme. In order to understand more about this type of interpretation speak, 3 of our team members who perform 2 minutes each of the 10-minute poetry programs. Please welcome Luis Quijano, Lindsay Ball, and Rebecca Shaw.
Home, a program for those refugees longing for a home, written in the voices of 6 Syrian refugee poets. I want to go home, but home is the mouth of a shark. No one leaves home unless home pushes you away. No one leaves home unless home chases you away. I want to go home. But no one leaves home unless home pushes you away. Unless home pushes you to the shore and tells you to leave. Pack your bags. Leave your clothes behind. Crawl through the desert. Wade through the ocean. Drown. Save. Beg. Be hunger. Forget pride. Your survival is more important. No one leaves home unless home is that sweaty voice in your ear saying, leave. Run away from me now. I don't know what I've become, but I know that anywhere is safer than home. Limbs of what was once my family lay in my arms. My blood screams. My throat screams 7 generations of torture. Lord, send angel Israel to guard the souls and let the living hear the anthem of something. Even though I cannot see my people, I can hear my people. We are speaking as one. The tire inside of me is ravenous. 41-year-old rotten hands bedazzled with rings of oil drums and gems of blood grinding at my veins. I tried to keep my mouth shut, but my tongue didn't have any more room for scars in the shape of my teeth. March 2011. We have been reborn, a social infant screaming, let us live. We will speak until throats are raw, until all of Syria is within the news. The dates will read like obituaries. June 25th, 27 dead, April 26th, 57 dead, March 27th, 77 dead, June 25th, 754 dead, April 26th, 500,000 Syrians protesting in Amman. There will be a time when we can eat together, when we will sip from cups made of old grenades and where shades of green are only worn by nature. Where peace is a rusted recoil, there will be a time when the fences choose to sit with us instead of standing between us.
A day in my ears, because too many deaf communities are left ununderstood. What is it like to hear a hand? You have to be deaf to understand. I'm tired of that old refrain, teach the deaf to speak, to talk, and they will be whole again. How well I know. That
is just not so, because I live, I grow, and every day quite simply tells me no. What is it like to be curious? To thirst for knowledge you can call your own, with an inner desire that's set on fire, so you ask a brother, a sister, a friend, who looks and answers and says, oh, never mind. You have to be deaf to understand. I'm deaf. I can't hear, and I know no magic will ever transform me into being otherwise, but when I talk, you smile. You understand my simple message spoken. Bravo! What marvelous speech! You pat me on the back and say, it's a hearing world you must live in, or be, quite simply, relegated to a stigmatized deaf ghetto. 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 A world of silence. A world of signs, a limited world apart from the rest. No, it was then I learned that not only do fruit jars get labeled, but so do people. What is it like on the road of life to meet a stranger who opens his mouth and speaks out a line at a rapid pace, and you can't understand the look on his face because it is new and you are lost in the race? You have to be deaf to understand. That's not the world at all. Not the world I know. My world is beautiful and unlimited. Not perfect, but neither void. And how can it be when all around me are hands and faces and whole beings communicating? Yes, teach the deaf to speak, to talk. But first, teach them how to walk with confidence. What is it like to hear a hand? Yes.
The Gospel by Lo Alleman and What Should Have Happened by Emily James. Dear God, a program for the ones who found more comfort in death than in life. Piece by piece, brick over brick, and one step after another he walks as the broken shards of my shipwrecked heart splinter his hands, and the weight of an impatient world weighs heavy on his shoulders. Death grows closer to this man who's supposed to be our king and redeem the majesty that he has hidden in me, but he seems just as broken as I am and just as defeated. Dear God, I have hurricanes in my head and gun smoke in my heart. Love thyself. It doesn't really register where I'm from. The only thing my soul knows how to grow is colder towards you, so I'll raise my hands to you, God. I'm calling out to you, God. Somehow I found an executioner in me, God. Please, tell me what love is, God. I've always known that sticks and stones could break my bones, but who would have thought that a wooden cross would meet the rock of my salvation, and we'd trade places, and his bones will be breaking for my restoration. His blood spilt as payment to purchase our graves and fashion them with the newness of life, where he hangs death like an ornament and decorates the sting out of it, so that we may no longer fear what is hidden in the dark, but that the darkness would fear what is revealed in us through the light. Precious is this life that paid the price for our debt, that while we yet stood blasphemous, God demonstrates his love on display for all to see. Christ crucified to pay the ransom of the guilty in full, that we might have the fullness of life in the type of abundance that shook the shackles of death off of his body. He is risen. He is King. He is Lord over all, and we are so loved by him. He deserves us. He deserves us. More than we deserved? Death? Dear God, everyone around me is dying. I want to start living.
duo interpretation, duo interpret, or just plain duo, is an event that involves a pair of performers acting out a literary piece or program chosen from a source. These sources include published novels, short stories, plays, poems, or motion pictures. The performers are not allowed to touch each other, make eye contact, use any props or costumes during the performance. The focus of the performance is to bring life to the literary piece. Britta and Chance Stone have been a very successful duo team this year, earning 2 third-place awards, 1 second place, and 2 first-place prizes. Please welcome Britta and Chance as they perform their duo piece, The Birthday Wish.
Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, baby, I love you. Happy birthday to you.
Laura, this has been the most amazing birthday. I don't know how I could ever repay you.
Well, I could think of a way.
Really? But I thought you already gave me my birthday present.
I did. Why? What are you talking about?
Well, see, you said that you
Oh,
could
I said I could think of a way. You're the one that used the wrong brain to come up with that conclusion.
What did you mean then?
Tell me what you wished for.
But if I tell you, it won't come true.
You don't actually believe that old superstition, do you?
Of course I do. I've never told my birthday wish to anyone, and they always come true.
Really?
Yes, really.
Okay, well, what did you wish for last year?
Well, that's easy. I wished for you.
Wait a minute. How's that possible? We didn't even know each other yet.
I wish that I would meet the love of my life, the girl that I could spend the rest of my life with. And then I met you.
Really, Marty? You mean that? You want to spend the rest of your life with me?
I do.
I do too.
Do you remember the last birthday wish that you made? Did you believe it would come true if you kept it a secret?
CBS News defines a superstition as an action or belief aimed at bringing about good luck or avoiding bad luck, and says that over half of Americans have a superstition they believe in.
In their story, Marty and Laura debate the power of Marty's superstitious belief in birthday wishes, while simultaneously experiencing the power of their love.
As the couple bounces between narrative and live-action storytelling, we uncover the realities these two must endure as these battling powers unfold.
The Birthday Wish.
By Shane Cole. So, are you sick of us yet?
It's okay to say if you are. It's what all our friends said at the time, too.
We were that couple that everyone loved to hate, because we were just so...
Perfect?
Well, I wasn't going to use that word, but yes, it was perfect. I mean, it's not every day you meet someone who takes your breath away.
I took your breath away?
Well, yeah, you took my breath away when we met. But do you remember how we met?
Oh, yeah. So you literally meant I took your breath away. Oh, jeez, I'm so sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. My paper's everywhere.
Here, I'll go with you. I'll tell the professor that it was my fault.
You don't have to do that.
No, really, I feel awful
As
about
it happens, it's no big deal.
Well, at least let me make it up to you. I work at the coffee shop across the street. Stop by sometime and I'll buy you whatever you like. I'm Marty, by the way.
I'm Laura. Thus, the great American romance began. Seriously, the way our friends reacted, you would have thought people were taking bets on how long we'd stay together.
Well, they did.
What?
Well, you know how boys can be. They were cruel, that's why I never told you about it.
Well, what they bet on.
How long we'd be together, how long until our first fight, how long until, well, you get the idea.
Your friends suck.
Yours aren't much better.
What'd you say?
I said yours weren't much better. Yeah, who do you think won the bet about when we'd have our first fight, huh? It was your little sorority girlfriend, Cheryl.
Cheryl?
Yes, she bet that we would have our first fight on our 6-month anniversary, and she was right. Oh, don't think I don't remember. 1 week after my birthday was our anniversary, and you had to go and screw it all up.
Me? Screw it up? How dare you? I did no such thing.
See, no one is perfect all the time.
Especially not you.
Oh, don't leave them in the dark. We should at least let them know what happened.
Fine.
It's beautiful out tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You haven't said a word about your present.
Sweetie, you know I love it.
Well, you said after your birthday that you wish someone would get you
Laura,
one.
I love it. Besides, I know you. You're just biding your time before you ask what you really want to know.
Really?
Yes, really.
And I suppose in all your infinite wisdom, you know exactly what it is I want to ask?
Yes, I do. And it doesn't take infinite wisdom. You just simply have to speak female.
Oh, well, lay it on me, Dr. Phil. What is it that I want to know so bad?
You want to know where your present is. Well, am I right?
I hate it when you're right.
Well, I'll tell you this. It's a two-part present.
When do I get the first part?
When you look in your purse,
In my purse? How'd you do that?
just read it already.
This entitles Miss Laura Jean Malone to one wish. One wish. Well, what does that mean?
Anything you want, I'll do it for you.
Anything.
Yeah, anything.
Tell me what you wished for.
What?
Tell me what you wished for. On your birthday, you made a wish, and you wouldn't tell me what it was.
But if I tell you, it won't come true.
I don't believe that old superstition. You said I get one wish, and this is what I want. Fine. If you don't want to tell me, then don't worry about the second half of my present.
Don't be like that.
Like what? You offered something as a present, now you want to take it back. Well, I don't want your stupid wish, and I don't want the second half either.
I wish that you would marry me. Well, you really screwed up the second half of this gift, but here it goes. Last year, I wished that God would give me the woman that I could spend the rest of my life with. Well, he did when I met you. This year, I wish that you would be crazy enough to spend the rest of your life with me and be Mrs. David Martin Harrison. So, what do you say? Will you marry me? No, absolutely not. I am not reliving that again.
Why not? That has to be one of the happiest moments of our life.
Precisely my point. I can't go through with it. You know what happens next.
What, you're gonna blame it on me?
Well, who else is there to blame it on? You may not believe in those silly superstitions, but I do. I broke one for you, and you broke my heart.
That wasn't intentional, and you know it.
Oh, like anything like this is ever intentional. That doesn't make it hurt any less. After the two that I made the last 2 years, I'm supposed to make another wish that I want to come true, but I can't.
That's stupid, Marty.
No, it's not.
Of course it is. Why can't you wish for what you want?
Well, you know what it is. Exactly how should I wish for it?
I don't know. But it shouldn't stop you from doing it.
Oh, really?
Yes, really.
And how exactly am I supposed to wish for you to come back from the dead? Let me explain. Laura said yes when I asked her to marry me. We wanted a quick wedding, so we had all the arrangements ready and set a date just 2 months later. On the morning of the wedding, we were supposed to have breakfast together, but when I arrived at the door, she wouldn't let me in.
You can't come in.
And why not?
It's bad luck to see the bride before she walks down the aisle.
Oh, I see. Now who's the superstitious one?
Shut up, Marty. I just want everything to be perfect. So just humor me.
Okay, I'll just go have breakfast with my parents. I'll see you at the church.
Marty.
I'll see you when you walk down that aisle. I love you, Laura.
I love you, Marty. More than life itself.
And that was the last time I spoke to her. See, there was a problem with her bouquet. The colors of the wedding were pink and baby blue. Not my choices, but it made her happy. Well, they sent her a bouquet of red roses instead of pink ones. So she called the florist and they said that there had been a mistake, that her bouquet was at the shop. So she got in the car and went and got them herself. After picking up her bouquet, she headed home. And as she was heading down 4th Street near her house, a little girl ran into the road chasing a ball that had gotten away. Laura slammed on the brakes and the car flipped and fell down an embankment. I was told of this at the church. I was there in my tuxedo with a baby blue vest on that I hated. But in that moment, my whole life changed. She died just 2 hours before our wedding.
It's not your fault.
No, it's yours. You made me break that superstition.
If that's what you need to tell yourself, then do it. But wishing for me to come back is not the wish you want to make.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. As much as you want to convince yourself that it is what you want, it's going to replay in your head over and over until you accept it.
And I suppose that you know exactly what I'm thinking.
Of course I do. You may speak female Dr. Phil, but I speak Marty. Go ahead. Make your wish.
I can't. It won't come true.
Marty, there's no one here to hear you. I'm not really here. Open your eyes. See the cake your mom made. Make your wish and be free.
I can't bring myself to say it.
Now, I'll say it for you.
No, don't.
You wish to move on. Forget me.
So that is my story. Maybe you're superstitious, or maybe you're not. But regardless, I would not take back this last 2 years of my life. Laura was right about one thing. I do hope that I will be able to move on, but I will never forget the love I shared with Laura. Happy birthday to me.
If you can hang with me for a couple more minutes. My name is Sarah Hayes, and I'm one of the coaches of the forensics team. And it has been a pleasure this year to work with all these people. Can we give them another round of applause? A lot of hard work, a lot of fun, a lot of prayer. The coaches, Andy Mallory is a coach, Denise Thomas is a coach, and I am a coach. Andy, you will see Andy, whatever. And so, we are going to give out a couple of awards to 3 people, and there are 4 awards, and these are team awards. And the coaches discussed and thought about and prayed about who we thought these awards should go to. So the first award is for the most improved forensicator. And that person is Luis Keelan. Stay right here for a minute. So I just want to say a little bit. Yeah. So I met Luis in September, and he had never done forensics before, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Correct. And so his first event was informative, and you saw part of the speech today, and then he took on poetry and a duo. And what I want to say about Luis is that he's an incredibly hard worker. He's very, very smart and works very hard. And then the thing I think that defines you is that I will give him criticism, and we critique a lot, right? So we watch their work and we help them and we critique them, and you can take that kind of critique and get beat up and not want to come back, but you always say, okay, tell me more. What? He always wants to improve and get better, and I am so proud of the work you are doing. And this guy not only reads, but looks on the internet and is watching, everything he can. He already told me last week, I'm going to do 5 events next year. And I'm like, 6! He just said. So, I'm just so proud of you, and you deserve this award, Karen. Okay, so, and the next award is called the Peer Coach of the Year Award. So this is somebody who is actually, there's 3 coaches, this could be number 4. And this award goes to Lindsay Vaughn. Okay, so Lindsay, as you can tell by a lot of her performing tonight, very skilled, has a background in forensics, probably knows the most as far as Britta too. One of those people who has come into the team this year and has her forensic legs underneath her. And because of that, this is an individual sport, I would say, in some ways, that she could perfect herself and go very far and do very well. But Lindsay has brought many people to the team, and then when they're on the team, she is coaching them. She could selfishly go in a room and perfect herself, but she is spreading her wealth and really building this team and making it what it is today. And I really, really admire it. So thank you. And then we have the Leadership Award. So this is the Team Leader Award. And this award goes to Britta Hare. Okay. I'm trying to tie this into a short, condensed version of Britta, but so what you see of her is this bubbly, right, really happy, joyful, except when she was mean to Chance but this bubbly person who has lots of joy and compassion towards others. But what you don't see maybe is her determination and work ethic. And I would say, Britta, you need to take this piece and you need to cut it from 20 minutes down to 8 minutes. And she would come back the next week and have it cut. Because when it is in that kind of shape, then you can really do the work that needs to be done. Britta does that kind of work. So she's a dedicated, skilled team member. And also, she doesn't let anybody sit alone. She wants everybody included. She prays for people, and really, as far as the team goes and life goes, those are the most important things. And then back to your performing, I think what is so great about you is that she has this bubbly, loving, joyful personality, and then she uses that to communicate and change people within our forensic world and life. And it's a joy to watch, and I'm so glad you are our team leader, right guys? Right here, she gets the last award too. The last award is more of a tally. It's an important award. It's a certificate of achievement for who has placed the most, who has gotten the most points, who has won the most trophies. Britta has done that this year, so she completely deserves this award. So there you go.